Stormy, thank you very much for that warm welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, we want to talk about trade, but we also want to talk about tech. So today I'd like to focus on a single crucial topic, even though we are currently debating many urgent issues around trade and globalization, topics that will certainly play an important role on this stage as well during the day. But I have been invited here today to speak about another special and central subject, that's tech, and its impact, of course, on labor. And there is no getting around. One key topic right now is artificial intelligence. Why is AI so important, or are we just witnessing the next digital hype after GATT-C? Many people are testing AI applications in their daily lives. Many companies are already developing their own solutions. Some are calling this the iPhone moment of artificial intelligence. And we all know how fundamentally the smartphone already changed our everyday lives. But one thing is clear: since the breakthrough of generative AI, a new dynamic has emerged. AI is no longer abstract. It has become something we can experience in practice every day. AI undoubtedly has this kind of transformative potential. But whether it actually leads to more innovation, more productivity, and above all, to better work, it is not a purely technical question. It is a question of shaping economically, politically, and socially. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concerns us all. Governments, companies, trade unions, of course, social partners, and last but not least, the workers. So let's say the whole society. And AI is more than just GATT-C. It is already changing real work processes today. Public debate often revolves around generative AI, the creation of text, images, or videos. But the actual changes in the world of work go much further. AI is optimizing logistics processes, detecting production errors, managing inventories, and analyzing customer behavior. In administration, it acts as a co-pilot in data processing, communication, and decision support. And even in social sectors like healthcare and education, new application scenarios are emerging. So my core message is this: AI is no longer a future issue. It is already changing concrete working realities today. But, and I want to emphasize this as well, AI does not automatically make work better. In the best case, it can reduce workloads, simplify processes, and create new opportunities. Also, develop new creativity. But if AI is poorly integrated, driven exclusively by economic interests, or used as a tool of control, the opposite happens. More pressure, more stress, less innovation for workers and companies. And this is not just a theoretical risk. AI systems don't just measure performance, they predict them. They analyze behavior, detect emotional signals, and assess potential performance, sometimes in real time. The technical possibilities range from eye tracking to biometric profiling. This raises the question: where do we draw the red lines? What is AI allowed to do in the workplace? What is not allowed to do? And most importantly, who decides? Let me give you an example that some of you may know well. It's the platform work. There we see what happens when algorithm systems are used without regulation or worker participation. Work processes are entirely pre-structured by AI. The algorithm determines who gets which task and when. Workers lose influence and autonomy. This model must not become the standard in other sectors. The consequences for our society would be unacceptable. That's what we, as German trade unions, say. That's the reason why we say we must take action and we must do it now. And in Europe, we have a real advantage. It's co-determination. Compared internationally, we have structures and procedures that not only protect workers, but actively involve them in shaping the work environment. This is not a break. It's quite the opposite. Co-determination is an opportunity to introduce new technology responsibly, to create acceptance, and to make innovation sustainable. I'm not just claiming this. The OECD studies prove it. The real innovation potential, increased productivity, and fewer implementation problems are achieved by companies that sufficiently involve their employees in advance. And yes, it's important to recognize this. This very European approach can become a competitive advantage over countries like the US, where technological developments are often introduced more quickly, but also more chaotically, with high social friction. Beyond legal regulations and bureaucracy, co-determination on companies' level creates stable, productive structures. That's not slower, it's more sustainable. And we also find more suitable solutions. We therefore need good tools for participation, clear rules for data use, and labor protections that take the real pressures from digitalization into account. Our guiding principle is good work by design. Shape technology before it shapes reality. That means assessing the impact of new technologies on jobs, tasks, and qualifications at an early stage. Creating test and learning environments where AI application can be trialed and evaluated together. Developing adaptive agreements that evolve alongside the technology, because AI is dynamic and our regulatory frameworks must be as well. Nevertheless, what we really need is a new governance framework for AI in the workplace. And we already have good approaches in practice too. At TUI, for example, I saw firsthand how co-determination was integrated into the introduction of new systems. That's not just a success for the parties involved, it also sends an important signal to the broader German economy. Because these kinds of real-world examples show that responsible use of AI is possible. They demonstrate how participation, innovation, and economic success can be aligned. Such practical examples are essential for us at the DGB, not just because they show what's possible, but because they form the foundation of our political work. Our policy demands are grounded in real work life, especially where innovation and co-determination go hand in hand. And at the same time, we need to develop the European and national framework for that. From my perspective, the European AI Act, adopted in April at last year, is a milestone. but it will do little to address operational questions in detail. That was never its purpose. What's crucial is this. We successfully negotiated an opening clause that allows for national regulations in the context of labor. And that's exactly what we are working on now, together with policymakers, researchers, and workplace stakeholders. Our goal is a national governance framework for AI in the workplace with clear rules, mandatory worker participation, and social responsibility. And finally, and I want to emphasize this once more, we must also consider AI is in the context of securing the skilled workforce. Demographic change will deeply affect the world of work in the coming years. By 2035, Germany could lose up to 7 million workers from its labor market. This gap cannot be closed by training or immigration alone. That's why we must talk about productivity. That's why we must talk about smart automation and, yes, about the potential of AI. Not as a substitute of people, but as a tool for support, for increase in efficiency, for easing burdens in understaffed sectors also. AI, that's what I want to say, is no silver bullet, but it can be a vital contribution to securing our economic strength, provided it is embedded in a social, responsible way. We should not resist this change, but we must shape it wisely. Artificial intelligence is not merely a technical matter, it is a social responsibility. And it will become a test for whether we use digitalization to make work more human, more secure, and more productive, or whether we allow unchecked technological power without regulation or participation. We are at a crossroad. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. We know that you are on a tight time schedule, but will you give us 10 more minutes?
10 more, okay.
Oh, 7? 5 to 7? Well, thank you so much. This was extremely insightful and very helpful. You know both sides of the Atlantic, and I know that you are also regularly in contact with Liz Schuler, your counterpart in the United States. What would you say could the United States learn from our labor market structure, unionization, and how the unions are dealing with AI and new technologies?
Thank you very much for that question. First of all, I would like to say that Liz Schuler is really a great leader of the AFL-CIO, a very smart, very cooperative person, and it's a good idea to get in exchange with her, not only for us as unions, also for the United States government, let's say. What is the difference and what makes us a common movement? Well, in Germany, we have this culture that we not only create a co-determination on the level of law, we also created on this level a culture of partnership. A culture that means that we understand that things getting better for all of us, for the workers as well as for the companies when we work together. And this means also for us as unions that we not only talk about wages, we are not talking only about secure working places, we have also an economic understanding. And we have an interest in economic success, of course. And this kind of partnership, which is not only free from conflict, but this kind of partnership makes it possible to find not only solutions, to find suitable solutions, solutions where we don't need the government. We find our own solutions in a proper way. We get also sustainable contracts. So also the companies knows what happens during the next years. We don't have to fight the whole time. We have a high acceptance also for what is negotiated together. And this is something I just can, I not only can say that it's a good idea to do it also in the United States, it also created a lot of the world's biggest companies in the world. For example, Volkswagen. Volkswagen has a very strong co-determination. And the truth that they became the world's biggest the biggest producer of cars is not despite of this co-determination. It's because of the co-determination over decades. And what I hear and what I see in the United States is that they don't trust in that kind of idea. And that employees and employers are more fighting against each other than cooperate. Mm-hmm. And yes, this is just something I can say, create more cooperation, because this is what the world needs. Mm-hmm. We need it in the companies, we need it in our societies, and we need it also in the whole world and the transatlantic partnership. We need more cooperation, we need more partnership, because otherwise we won't really solve the human problems we are facing.
Yeah, applause is allowed. Then maybe one last question, because you mentioned how important cooperation is. There's sometimes also conflict and fighting, but cooperation is really important. So what is your secret sauce, so to say? How do you get to compromises? Because you have sometimes very opposing positions. How do you get those opposing positions and interests to agree on something and to compromise? What is your secret?
Oh, wow. I think it's what I already mentioned. Of course, it's a common understanding of what I already mentioned. It's always better to find, at the end of the day, to find a compromise, to find a common solution. But this is nothing that happens just like, okay, you know what, let's be friends, not enemies. It's not a culture question. You have to combine on the level of law, rights, for example, the right to strike. This is something we need. If we don't have the right to strike, we are just sitting at the table and say, okay, please, just give us a little bit. You know, of course, you need a strong position. And the only strong position for the workers and their unions is to have the right of strike, of course. That the employers has to accept. On the other side, this doesn't mean that you have to strike all the time. It means just, you know what, this is the red line. We can talk about this and this and this, but this is the red line. Mm-hmm. And if you go over the red line, yes, then we will go for strike. But at the end of the day, our understanding is that, you know, what is the advantage of strike? What is our, I mean, what we do? Why we do it? It's nothing that we are happy about. There's no really there is not really a benefit for us. Mm-hmm. It's just to do it to reach a target, but it's not a benefit. So, and in that understanding, we are not interested in striking all the time. We are interested to say, let's stay at the table. That's what is necessary. And because of that, and because of the co-determination that is implemented in law, of course, we have also the structures and the procedures on the company level. It's not only we came as union from outside into the companies. Our people are sitting in the companies, and they are, and this means they know about the daily challenges of the companies. So, and this creates, this all together, the structures, the law, this creates a culture that is developed over decades where we have this understanding. To be honest, not all employers also join this in Germany, but I think it's very important that we hold on this kind of social partnership, because otherwise we just will run in deeper and deeper conflicts and more social problems. And I mean, we have enough problems and enough crises. I think we shouldn't support this kind of troubles.
And we need it for social cohesion, and also for, it's kind of the glue which keeps our societies together, right?
Absolutely. And I mean, it has also to do with the level of the social level you have in society. If you have more and more splitted societies, it's also not good for the economy. And a common development, having people who are healthy and have good wages to buy all the producer stuff and so on. That's the kind of societies we need, and so we should hold on our kind of social partnership in Germany and also in Europe.
Thank you very much, and I'm pretty sure that Liz Schuler can learn a lot from the discussions from you and how you are organized. And my next dream is to have both of you on the panel here. Thank you very, very much. Vielen Dank. So this was a great start into our day, and I know you have to run off. So we are changing the stage up here because we are now getting into one of our biggest panels of today. And you might have wondered, oh my God, why are they putting 7 people on the panel? Is that going to work? And our poor moderator, who also said, do you really want to do this? And we said, oh yeah, absolutely, we want to do it. Because we want to bring different perspectives to the discussion. And we also want to have all those wonderful speakers here in Berlin and on the ground. And no better way than getting them on the panel and then into the coffee breaks afterwards for all the exchanges. But I don't envy our moderator for today. I'm handing over to him, while I'm also going to join the panel. Unfortunately, Nathalie Hübner can't join us today because she fell sick overnight. And since trade is one of my favorite topics in the world, I just jumped in. So could I ask my moderator to come up here to the stage? Give him a big applause.